And we begin tonight with a breaking news alert. The man accused of starting a fire that killed 2 Toledo firefighters was indicted on more charges today. Ray Abu Arab is now accused of trafficking a synthetic type of marijuana. It's called XLR-11. The Lucas County prosecutor says the trafficking may have taken place on 2 occasions. Abu Arab's son, Omar, was also indicted on the same charges. Abu Arab is also charged with 2 counts each of aggravated arson and aggravated murder in the deaths of Stephen Mashinsky and Jamie Dickman. Those 2 Toledo firefighters died January 26th, battling a fire on Magnolia Street. Abu Arab was the owner of the building.
Well, breaking news from the city of Toledo this evening. Toledo Mayor Mike Collins does not plan to open city pools this summer because of budget constraints. 13 ABC's Christine Long live tonight downtown with the latest. Christine.
Lee, the Collins administration is saying, do you want pools or police officers? The budget is dire and pools are not a priority. Now, the 2014 proposed budget provides no money to open the city's pools this summer, nor the Ottawa Park ice rink in November. The issue was discussed at today's Parks and Recreation Committee budget hearing. Last year, the city operated 6 pools and a splash pad after council intervened to restore funding after the Bell administration eliminated it. However, this year, the city's finance director says Toledo needs to find other money, maybe private sponsorships or help from the business community.
The plan right now is that there's no money to open the pools. We would need at least $200,000 to maintain the pools, plus probably another $300,000 to $400,000 to fix those pools so they could be operational. Unfortunately, the money in the budget is extremely tight.
The real issue is that it's time for the city to take another look at how they are going to fund recreation generally. We floated a proposal last year to fund Toledo parks on property taxes on a 1 mil levy. That did not pass. The voters have said basically they cannot sustain that.
We will have more in our Blade briefing later this half hour. And coming up on 13 ABC Action News at 6, hear from an East Toledo woman who is worried about the impact of these recreation budget cuts on kids. Essentially, what will they do now to keep busy and stay out of trouble? Again, that's coming up at 6. For now, reporting live downtown, Christine Long, 13 ABC Action News.
Outbreak of the stomach bug, possibly the norovirus, prompting administrators to shut down a local school.
St. John's Academy was closed today and will be again tomorrow. This only affects the 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. The middle school is attached to the high school at the corner of Airport and Holland, Sylvania. 13 ABC's Tony Geftis has response from the school and the health department.
Inside the hallways of St. John's Jesuit Academy, sanitarians with the health department and an epidemiologist are scouring the building. They're looking for samples of a virus and disinfecting the rest. That's after dozens of students at the private school for boys got sick.
The numbers are pretty dramatic.
Health Commissioner Dr. David Grossman says the Toledo-Lucas County Health Department has been in close contact with St. John's. They helped administrators make the call to shut down the middle school through this weekend.
But all it takes is the guys in the locker room and the towel, touch it, and wipe your mouth or something, you can spread it.
A spokesperson for St. John's Academy tells 13 ABC over 3 dozen students in the 175-student academy, 6th through 8th grade, were out sick or went home sick on Wednesday. Our maintenance staff, along with the Toledo-Lucas County Health Department, are working to make sure that surfaces in the school are properly washed and disinfected. At this point, the health commissioner says there is no indication the virus has spread beyond the walls of this building. On the inside, however, it spread fast, which leads him to believe this may be the norovirus.
We think this is probably the virus that may cause those stomach illnesses on the cruises, the norovirus, but we have no documentation of that yet because we need some samples and we haven't been able to get those.
After today's testing, the health department may know for sure. In Toledo, Tony Geftis, 13 ABC Action News.
Meantime, St. John's High School remains open tomorrow. A spokesperson says the illness appears to be isolated to just the academy.
Northwest Ohio schools, as you know, have had to shut down several times this winter because many districts losing more than 2 weeks, in some cases 3 weeks of classes this year. That puts parents and sick kids in a pretty tough spot. Local school nurse says some sick students are coming to class anyway.
I talk to parents daily who say they need to be in school. A lot of times they have headaches, we lay them down, school nurse is there, we can do a good assessment. If they're not contagious, we lay them down, get them comfortable. Sometimes I have the parents bring them in some medication, get them comfortable, and get them back to class, because that is the goal, is to keep them in school so they can learn.
Kaufman says there are schools around the state with actual health clinics in the schools, but there's nothing like that in Toledo. You can hear more about the conversation about the health care in schools Sunday on Roundtable with 13 ABC's Jeff Smith.
New numbers show that fewer Ohio teenagers are abusing drugs, but more are engaging in another kind of risky behavior. The Ohio Department of Health says prescription drug and heroin abuse is down among Ohio teenagers. 13% said they used prescription painkillers at least once. That's down from 21% in 2011. Heroin abuse has also dropped about 1%, but on the flip side, more teens reported texting while driving.
Toledo correctional inmate who pleaded guilty to assaulting a prison guard was back in court today. A judge sentenced 28-year-old Marquise Perry to 8 more years in prison. 13 ABC's Christine Long reports from the Lucas County courtroom where the victim spoke out. A woman who prosecutors say is truly lucky to be alive tonight.
He has a disturbing, violent history of offenses.
Judge Ruth Ann Franks handed down the maximum sentence for felonious assault to TOCI inmate Marquise Perry. 8 years on top of the time he's already serving for involuntary manslaughter, attempted murder, and other felony charges. 7 of those happened while Perry was in prison. Plus,
The same day he entered this plea, there was a violent assault by the defendant against another inmate in the county jail. He also assaulted another guard in the county jail.
in this latest conviction, police say Perry approached the corrections officer on a stairwell in November and punched her. When the prison guard fell backward, Perry stood over her body and delivered 17 closed fist punches.
Inmate Perry assaulted me because he didn't like how I was doing my job. I didn't let him get away with his constant infractions. I didn't let him run the pod how he wanted.
The corrections officer, Sarah Rogalin, who has been on medical leave since the attack, told the judge she doesn't remember anything after the first punch. She spoke about waking up in the ICU and her ongoing health issues.
I treated you, Perry, with respect and dignity that any human would expect. Inmate Perry, you're a coward.
When Perry's attorney objected to her statement, the inmate spoke out.
Let her finish.
As guards led Perry out of the courtroom, he had final words for the prison guard.
Quite frankly, this is one of the most vicious attacks I've seen inside or outside of a prison institution, and I'm glad that we got such a good result for the victim here and that she won't have to see him ever again.
In Toledo, Christine Long, 13 ABC, Action News.
And prosecutors say Perry has been in jail or prison since he was 16 years old.
Well, changes could be coming to Ohio drunk driving laws. Mothers Against Drunk Driving tells the I-Team that this is a solution to a deadly problem, and now the idea is headed to Columbus. 13 ABC's Sean Haggerty has the follow-up to a story the I-Team first brought you last October. Sean?
Yeah, it's called the Ignition Interlock. It will not allow you to start your vehicle if you've been drinking. All these states already have the Ignition Interlock on the first drunk driving offense, and Ohio might join them. Here's what one of those interlocks looks like. It is installed in your car, you blow into it, and if you're sober, it allows your car to start. Now, the I-Team showed you these several months ago, and we told you that it's up to the judge's discretion on the first offense, but mandatory for a second offense in 2 years. A new bill introduced into the Ohio House of Representatives today would make it mandatory on the first offense. This interlock would be in the car for the same amount of time as that person's license is suspended. And this is something Mothers Against Drunk Driving has been calling for. They look at states like Arizona that have this and have seen a 43% decrease in drunk driving deaths. It now seems like this idea will at least have a chance to get to the House floor. The bill has a long way to go, first to committee, then it has to be recommended to the entire House for a vote, then to the Senate, and then to the governor's office. It's called Annie's Law, named after a woman in Ross County who was killed in a drunk driving accident. The bill's sponsor said today that the House must do everything it can to make sure things like that don't happen again. We'll keep you updated on the bill's progress. Reporting live, Sean Haggerty, 13 ABC Action News.
Well, talking about our weather outside today looked much nicer and a little bit of melting going on.
Oh, let it
from
continue.
The sun,
yeah, you
not
bet.
The
Let's
temperature.
You know, and that's coming.
Yeah,
That's coming in short order here. Chief Meteorologist Jay Burschbach standing by live in the First Warning Forecast Center with a first look at the good news. Jay?
It is good news for folks that want taste of spring. Really springy for tomorrow still, with the warmest day of the week by far. We had 2 days this week below zero. Tomorrow approaching, we think, 50 still in a few spots. Here's a look at our weather story. What's coming up? Well, another chilly night back in the teens tonight with mainly clear skies, so you'll wake up tomorrow and another day for the coats and the hats and even the sunglasses, so that's a positive. 30s and 40s tomorrow with a chance for a few spot downs. Looks like Mother Nature maybe bringing us a little taste of winter as we go through the middle part of March. Not a cruel joke. That's just the forecast right now. We'll explain more on that in the 7-day forecast and take a look at the short term in the way of temperatures tonight and see who gets near 50 tomorrow and who doesn't. I'm back in just a bit.
All right, Jay, thanks. Following the latest now on the crisis in Ukraine, President Obama is raising the stakes in the West standoff with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Obama administration ordered sanctions today against Russian and Ukrainian officials involved in the chaos. The president signed an executive order that freezes the assets of those seen as destabilizing the situation. He also slapped new visa restrictions on those threatening Ukraine's new government.
I am confident that we are moving forward together, united in our determination to oppose actions that violate international law and to support the government and people of Ukraine. And that includes standing up for the principle of state sovereignty.
The Obama administration isn't relying solely on diplomacy. The Pentagon has sent more fighter jets to the region to monitor any Russian violation of airspace. Meantime, officials from the local government in Crimea are trying to break off from Ukraine and join the Russian Federation. The referendum vote is scheduled for March 16th.
The Senate blocked a bill today that would have stripped military commanders of the power to prosecute rapes and other serious offenses among their ranks. The Pentagon's leader opposed the measure, arguing that officers should have more responsibility, not less, when it comes to the conduct of the men and women they lead. Proponents say the change was necessary to curb the number of sexual assaults in the U.S. military. An Army general accused of sexual assault pleaded guilty to 3 less serious charges. But General Jeffrey Sinclair claims that he's innocent on 5 remaining counts. A female captain claims Sinclair forced her to perform oral sex and threatened to kill her family. Sinclair admitted to having an inappropriate relationship and adultery. The general will now face trial for the remaining charges, including sexual assault. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation has tested more than 3,000 previously untested rape kits as part of a new initiative. So far, the DNA testing has led to nearly 1,000 hits on criminal databases. Ohio's Attorney General started the sexual assault kit testing initiative back in 2011. The testing led to a number of indictments all across the state.
More to come here on Action News at 5. We get back to one of our top stories. The mayor's office says it's all priorities.
Toledo's budget crunch, putting a wet blanket on the summer in the city, no money for the pools. Digging deeper into the story next in our Blade briefing.
Plus, the massive fire in the Motor City that destroyed an entire apartment building. What investigators are saying about the cause tonight.
This is 13 ABC Action News with Diane Larson and Lee Conklin.
Welcome back, everyone. In today's Blade briefing, back to one of our top stories of the day. We told you earlier the city of Toledo would close pools and the Ottawa Park ice rink this summer and in the winter later this year. Now, in the past 15 minutes or so, well, appears to be a change of heart or some money found here. Ignacio Messina of the Blade joining us now with this breaking development within the last couple of minutes. Ignacio, what are you finding?
Well, the mayor just told us that he could possibly have money to open the pools this year. He wants to use what's called the Law Enforcement Trust Fund, which funds the police athletically. Basically, it's money awarded to the city by the courts from things like drug seizures and property seizures. Okay, so this trust fund that funds PAL, this has been a problem before, funding for the pools. The mayor made it an issue or a priority in his campaign. So was this a case of pressure coming quickly and he was able to find this money, or was this money there all the time and this was planned to fund the pools all along?
Well, that's a good question, Lee. You know, today some of his top administrative staff took a lot of heat from City Council about the plan to zero out that budget. As your reporter said earlier, it was $230,000 last year, and this year, buried within the budget was a big zero where pools would be. So, you know, the mayor had been working on his plan today. Possibly his officials weren't aware that he was planning on possibly using this fund, or that with it within the last hour or so. You know, we don't have that level of detail yet, but right now he's saying that he might have the money to open up 6 pools this year and the splash pad in Central Toledo at Savage Park.
Do we know, Ignacio, how much money in total is in that fund?
You know, right now it's, you know, I don't know how much money is in that fund. You can go to ToledoBlade.com later today. We'll have that information for you. Okay, but once again, a possible reversal. Breaking news on top of the breaking news we told you about earlier this afternoon. Ignacio Messina, thanks very much. Look for that update in the Blade, ToledoBlade.com.
Now, 13 ABC First Warning Weather with Chief Meteorologist Jay Berschbach.
Some video earlier today of, yes, that's a marina, the Skyway Marina in Toledo. Snowfall and drifts of snow and ice. Doesn't look like any boaters out there for the next couple of weeks, but eventually we'll take pictures of this location and see folks enjoying the waterways in and around the Glass City. At least there you can see above that. We had nice deep blue skies today. Tracking the radar, of course, just in case, live Doppler 13,000 HD. Nothing to find. Viper HD does show a storm to our south, but this one will be missing us. Cooler, no Arctic chill, but cooler Thursday. The high 32. So, of course, the whole storm team will be watching that for you, so you don't worry about it. Let us worry about it until we really know details about that system.
And we'll just enjoy each day we have till then.
And enjoy tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to feel like spring. Even though 40 doesn't seem that warm compared to what we've had this year, 40 is going to be balmy.
40 is the new 60.
It is.
That's what I've said for years. All right.
Exactly.
Hey, thanks.
Still to come on Action News. The crime spree apparently went on for years, spanning thousands of miles.
But police say the family on a cross-country shoplifting tear was caught in the act.
Investigators say somebody intentionally set the fire that destroyed an apartment building in Detroit. Take a look here. This massive blaze forced some adults and children to leap from second and third story windows. Detroit's fire commissioner says investigators found an accelerant buried in the rubble. So far, no deaths have been reported, but police and cadaver dogs are searching for potential victims. And fire started yesterday at 6 o'clock in the morning. At least 4 people were hurt. And a fire destroyed this Georgia restaurant overnight. It's called Sweetbreads Cafe. Clarksville fire chief says the flames quickly spread from the restaurant to 5 other buildings, fire causing heavy damage to what's considered a historic area.
A suburban family from northern Chicago is accused of going on a cross-country shoplifting spree, stealing millions of dollars in toys and other goods. It's been happening over the last decade. The Bogdanoff family lives in a $1 million home. The father, mother, and daughter were all arrested after they were caught on camera. Family members say they're startled by the news.
I don't know what to say, but I don't believe it. How? No way in the world. How could I? Who can?
If convicted, each member of the family faces up to 10 years behind bars. He was found near death in a Toledo neighborhood.
And now this little guy needs an expensive surgery. Find out how you can help. Coming up next.
This winter has been.
A kitten found near death in the middle of the winter storm is getting some much needed surgery thanks to a local shelter.
And that shelter could use a little help to cover the cost. This is little Olaf. He was found last month lying on a sidewalk in sub-zero snowstorms. He was brought to Paws and Whiskers, the cat shelter there, where they quickly nursed him back to health. But Olaf has a number of eye problems and needs surgery that will cost about $3,000.
His eyelids turn inward, which causes the hairs to rub on his eyeballs and cause issuing. And then one of his eyelids are also deformed, so it doesn't close completely, which causes more irritation, and eventually, if not fixed, he will be blind.
Olaf goes to a specialist in Ann Arbor next week for the surgery. Of course, the daily food and medical expenses at the shelter are adding up, so the surgery is going to put the vet fund in the red. If you'd like to make a donation to help little Olaf here, you can get connected to 13abc.com. We have a link to the shelter's website on that.
Well, here's what's on Action News at 5:30.
2 new shops coming to Sylvania Township. We'll show you what's on the way from 2 national retailers.
Plus gas prices going up, why experts say there is no relief in sight. Those are just some of the stories that we're working on for the next half hour.
13 ABC Action News continues in just 2 minutes. Stay with us.